what a goal. This is Oliver Glasner, the manager of Crystal Palace, and I travelled down to London to sit directly behind him for 90 minutes to understand exactly what managers see, and it got heated. So today I'm going to show you the sideline view, the one view that you never actually get on TV, and how it completely changes the way that you might understand the game. So without further ado, let's dive straight into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe. Yes, I am asking you. Cheers. So let's first touch on the reality of the sideline, because when you're watching it on the TV, you can see pretty much all the 22 players on the pitch. You can see pretty much the whole structure, but from the sideline you might only see about 10 to 20 meters at a time. So firstly, you have a very limited perception, as you are of course on level height with all the players. Well, most of them anyway, not if you're small like me. And so managers can't always see the space that the aerial cameras can show you. And this is perhaps the biggest misconception that fans have. Coaches don't see more than you, they actually see less. But the difference is, they know what to look for. Now, of course, it is made much easier nowadays with the analysis tools and the iPads that they have on the bench. And so the coaching staff and the analysts can advise on, strategies going forward and things that the manager might need to tweak. But ultimately it is the manager's decision whether he changes any of that. But typically managers aren't watching an iPad the whole game. Most of it will come from actually managing in the moment, because you have to motivate your players. You have to give on-field instructions, and you have to ensure that every player knows exactly where they need to be at every given moment. So then what are coaches actually looking for? So as I watched Oliver Glasner, I noticed that he was just focusing on two things. Number one, phase management, and number two, the next moment of danger. Now, for example, by phase management, I mean that he was always making sure his team was structured correctly in each phase of the game. That is in possession, out of possession, and in both transitions, but mostly in and out of possession. And it wasn't actually complex at all in the way that you might think. For example, if his team were on the ball and his backline were too deep, he would then shout, "Step!" Then he would ask his attackers to either press the ball or hold, as in hold their shape. But he was also watching out for the next moment of danger. Now, if you've watched videos on this channel before, you'll know that I ramble on about managers always thinking one step ahead. And this is very important because most managers aren't thinking about what's happening directly in the moment. They're thinking about what could happen, and they're thinking, are my team prepared for that next phase? So for example, if a manager senses that his team are about to lose the ball, then he might tell one of his fullbacks to just tuck in a little bit more narrow to sort of protect that central area. So then let's now get into the instructions that they shout and why. Now, sitting directly behind the manager, of course, now you can hear what he's actually saying. And I heard the same instructions over and over again. They were switch, drop two, tempo, outside, outside. At first, it just sounds like noise, but every word has a reason. So I spotted that Oliver Glasner shouted switch every time his wing back, because he plays a back five with wing backs, was in a lot of space out wide because the opposition fullback tucked in. And so as you would expect, he wants that ball to be switched to the other side of the pitch where there's more space to work in and they could possibly create a good attacking chance. Another example, drop two, means that he wants his back line to drop 2 yards. Another example, tempo, he wants faster circulation of the ball to catch the opposition defensive structure off guard. And every shout is an attempt to fix something instantly, to try and either reduce the likelihood of the opposition team creating a good chance or increase the likelihood of your team creating a good chance. But notice how, again, it is pretty simple instruction. Now, you might also get instances where a manager asks the player to come to the side so that you can have a one-on-one chat with him to maybe give him some more detailed instruction. Like here. Now, I'm not sure what exactly he said to Tyreek Mitchell, but it sounded pretty important. So choosing how to communicate and when is also vital. Now, I also noticed that there's a couple of things that managers probably wish their players understood more. And this was maybe the biggest thing I learned, because coaches don't want to have to micromanage every single moment. I mean, some coaches might, because that's just their personality, but they want their players to be able to recognize triggers, adjust their spacing automatically, cover the danger without being asked to, anticipate instead of react. Because most of the game is spent with coaches yelling, higher, higher, closer, closer, hold. Because players don't actually always recognise the cues themselves. And this is actually another important point, because even though they are professional footballers, and this simple information such as compact might sound very obvious to them, when you are actually on the pitch playing, it's a different ball game. Firstly, because the intensity of the game can affect your judgment. Secondly, because you become too emotional in the game and you don't think straight. And so that constant instruction from a manager in a simple and easy to understand way can actually be very beneficial to a team as well, as it just reinforces that point and keeps players on track when they are going through the motions of a game. Now, I would caveat this by saying there is a difference between elite senior football and youth football. Now, I don't want you to go away from this and start yelling at kids from the sideline. Absolutely not. And that is not the purpose of this video. It's about showing you what a pro manager sees when managing pro players. Do not start shouting constant instruction at kids that you might coach. I've seen it too many times in grassroots football, and it's not a good look at all. We want kids to be creative. We want them to be let loose a little bit. We want them to make mistakes because that's how they learn best. And we certainly don't want to come across as being nasty. Keep that in mind. So then, what was my biggest lesson from sitting behind a manager for 90 minutes? It was actually how simple the game was to them and how simple he made the game to his players, but also how quickly they reacted to certain situations. For example, when Fulham, the opposition team, scored... What a goal that is! Is that outside the foot? And we go again. Glasner was straight to his bench to say, lads, go and warm up. And he was wasting no time in doing so that he's ready to adapt if need be. But the lesson is that although we might think that a pro manager makes things really complex and has these really, eccentric game plans, and some do in preparation before the game, but actually managing in the game, it's different. A lot of it is actually very simple. Clear communication, prepare for that next phase, do it with intensity, and give quality advice from the side. At the end of the day, that's all players want. The rest is down to them. They know the game plan, they know the tactics inside and out. Just keep reinforcing little bits. Now, if you want to learn to see the game the way coaches do, then you will absolutely love my free match analysis template, and this will give you a simple and clear guide to analyze a match yourself. But you will also love my course, where I help you understand football tactics in 7 days. Well, that's the fastest possible route, but I've made it completely self-paced as well, just for people who are busy. And I'll leave both resources down below for you to check out. And if you want to go a little bit deeper, watch this one next. Your entire perspective will change. I'll see you on the next one.